Technology and things like that were not in my wheelhouse, but I had to make a way. I had to find a way. I had a family, and I wanted to do things that for my family and to be successful. But again, as I was working on these sideline projects where I became more of a designer out of my house, each time I finished a project, I got one project done, I got two more, I got referrals for it, and it became sort of a balance between my regular job and design work. I left Colorado Springs, came back to the Detroit area, worked for Walbridge Aldinger, and worked on the Nissan Research and Development Technical Headquarters in Farmington Hills. And I managed a fairly large project that was, we had permits and we had foundations in the ground before the actual the building was finished being designed. We actually had permits and the size of the building. We didn't know what the building was going to look like. I was an engineer on this project. I wasn't a designer, but my job was to make put this into job packages that could be sent out to the trades and carpenters and steel workers and foundation concrete people could take these drawings that we packaged and put it in the field and built this building, which we did do. I ended up stepping over the line on this project where the parabolic skylight on this facility wasn't properly designed. I ended up designing that myself. We got it built, and it is a very nice building in the Farmington Hills area. I don't know if any of you have been out that way. It's near 12 Mile and Hagerty. Currently, I'm working as I went through my work at Walbridge Aldinger here in Detroit. Became more and more work on the side became a lot more prevalent here in the Detroit area, and I started getting work on my own, and I decided in 1992, again during the first Gulf War, which was a bad time for the economy, but I decided to go off on my own, and I've never looked back, and I've really had a wonderful experience on my own. I can't, every day I go to work, I'm really happy that I'm there. And as I got older and as my career expanded, or as I went down my career path, I went from larger corporations, from Texas Instruments with sometimes near 120,000 employees worldwide, to Walbridge Aldinger here in the Detroit area, which was about 15 or 20,000 people worldwide or nationwide. And as I got older and more difficult to deal with, I think I became kind of my own boss, and that's really what brought me here. And I'm so happy that you guys are being exposed to this type of attitude about entrepreneurship, because when I was at Brother Rice, we learned a lot of things about perseverance and loyalty and passion for your job. But what's wonderful about this is you guys are going to see there's a shorter distance. I could have done it a lot easier to get to where I was on my own, and I think I would have been a lot better off. My family would have been better off, but I didn't really know how to do it. And you guys can find a way. You can find a way in a tough market. There's always something. As one industry goes down, another industry is picking up. Right now, I'm again, like I mentioned before, I'm doing urban planning. We're trying to plan cities and developments that are different from what we have now, where the automobile is not as an important factor in their life. And I think a lot of you will probably hear in the next few years, as you go through your education, you'll find some of the things that we do here in the United States and in our communities. We need to look at things a little bit differently. Maybe we need to step backwards a little bit and see the sensibility of projects in Europe and New York and Chicago, why those pedestrian communities work. And that's what I'm doing now, and it's actually a little bit ahead of the game. I'm working on a project in Georgia that is in the Marsh Islands off the coast just north of Jacksonville, Florida. And we are working on, I want to show you some of the things that are very important that I think on this island, this Marsh Island, just off the coast, just north of Jacksonville, there's several, this is sort of it's a very traditional community, but within that traditional community, we have some very high-tech features that we're trying to implement. We're talking about geothermal, which is a very inexpensive way of heating and cooling the facilities. we're talking about tidal generators, which will provide electricity as the tide rises and falls. There's millions of gallons that shift in this particular site. From this side of the river through the canal here, there's several million gallons of water that moves back and forth every day. And these generators that we are developing right now will provide electricity for street lights and for public buildings throughout this site. The central core of this you can see is all left for natural beauty. There's for natural green space, and it acts as an aquifer and helps to keep the water inside the wells and everything pure and filtered. And that's you know, it has a walking path through the center of it. There's several hundred wild horses on this island, and the island itself is just teeming with wildlife. There's several million birds there at any given time. There's dolphin. There's it's a flurry of natural activity there, and it's an exciting project. But that's one of the things that I through trying to keep myself busy, try to keep myself working in this market, we've been able to get into some of these buildings. As you can see, are very traditional, but this is a geothermal building. It's all recycled materials. This is a low country design for the south. It's a coastal design. This shows a light rail system that's going to be circulating people throughout there. We're using a low carbon, low energy trolley system, and some of the more traditional looks are what they're proposing. Again, these are some of the buildings we're doing on Laurel Island. This will be a bed and breakfast, some overall communities. We got to use some of our artwork that I was taught at Notre Dame that will apply to anything in facilities engineering. But that's pretty much it. I have, again, I congratulate you for taking the effort to get out of bed and come over here and listen to me talk, and I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here. And again, you're very lucky to have this type of push, because when you get out into the world, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tougher the next few years. I'm finding out that I'm having to this is another challenging time for me, and I have to use those same, the perseverance, the passion, and the flexibility, being able to adapt to a tough situation. And you're all learning that now. You're learning those skills at Marion and at Brother Rice, and God bless you. Thank you. And I'd like to answer any questions you have about what I do or what the projects are. So please feel free. I'm sorry to kind of be abrupt. I want to make sure you guys get to your class on time. But if there's any question, I'd be happy to answer them. Yes.
Is it an island thing that you're doing? Is that kind of like a Mackinac Island?
It is. That's a good question. What they want to do at that island is to keep as little automotive traffic on there as they can. They don't want to discourage it, but the width of the streets and everything is very tight, very small, pedestrian-like. So they want to. It's very similar to Mackinac, but they will allow for wheeled vehicles to get on the island. As you can kind of see here, this as a plan these things, you can see most of this is, again, this green area here is all pedestrian traffic here, with just some small circulation roads that allow for people to get emergency vehicles in there. But from one end of the island to the other is less than 1.5 miles, and it's a 3-mile